FunWhole have been making construction models that uniquely combine standard Lego type bricks with LED lighting for a number of years now. Just recently, they've introduced a steampunk railway themed model and asked me if I would review it. Having been impressed with what they've been doing so far, I decided it was time to take a closer look. Thanks for joining today's review. Given this is a different type of model from what I normally cover, we'll run with a slightly different agenda and scoring scheme to normal. We'll kick off with our usual unboxing, and we'll follow this with a speeded up build of the model, followed by some close-up views of the finished model. We'll then get into the summary, scoring and final recommendations. As part of my recommendation, I'll cover who this type of model might be suited to, and we'll also ask the question as to what other railway-themed models FunWhole should consider for future releases. Okay, let's get underway. Alright, so we're going to do the unboxing for this FunWhole Steampunk Ore Train. As you can see, it comes in this rather dark box, I guess, and they've got an image of the train on the front here. It's telling us it's got 1056 pieces, so this is a pretty decent size set, and it's also recommended for ages 8+ onwards. And I guess by the time we get to the end of this review, I'll give you my take in terms of the kind of age suitability. So I think there probably is a lower threshold. I think obviously this is something adults would purchase and be happy putting together, similar to any of the Lego sets, etc. So what we're going to do is open up the box, and we're going to take a look at what's inside, and then we'll get into the actual putting this together. Okay, so I'm just going to get my trusty knife, and we'll open this guy up. You can feel the weight. It is a substantial box, and you can see the product name there and product details. So it was just built a month ago, so brand new unit. As I said, and this is provided to me by FunWhole. They've sent this to me to review it, and I can basically keep it. No money has changed hands, however, so this review will be an independent review, as with any of my other reviews, but certainly interesting to take a look at this. So it's a brand new product really, and we'll open up the box and see what's inside. So these products like this all generally come with an instruction manual, which tell you how to put it together. So we'll be kind of following this when we're putting the model together, and we'll do a kind of a speeded up sequence of assembly, and I'll kind of give you my view on the assembly at the end. So that's pretty standard stuff, and there's PDF versions of these that can be downloaded as well. And I'll see if the latest version of this is actually available. This wasn't available about a week ago when I checked for it, but it may be available now, so I'll put a link to that in the description. So then you get all the various pieces. So they're broken out into these different little kits. So and I'll need to find out the significance of the different bags. I guess one thing I'll kind of notice, this is obviously the kind of generic Lego. The Lego patents expired a long time ago, so people are producing bricks in this form. They don't have any Lego logo on them, obviously, so there's, on the studs there you don't see any Lego. And I guess what's interesting in this particular set, and I think it's something I'll note, is the colours are kind of unusual, and they're not your typical, bright red, bright blue, white, green, yellow Lego. They're kind of, I suppose, more in keeping with a model like this, which I think is good, which means the look of the model should be good. And there's even some metallic finished parts in here as well, and I can see some transparent parts which would be associated with the lighting, because this does have lighting. So here we've got number 3. So these all have numbers. So these are number 3. So obviously, when we follow the sequence of construction, we'll see the significance of these numbers. The scale for Lego trains, or for Lego in general, is roughly about 1/40th scale, 135, 1/40th scale. So that's kind of what we'll expect, and this should be the same gauge as a Lego train, and we'll check that out later on. So this little bag, I think is the LED parts. So we'll have to do a check on this. I'll kind of do it offline, so we'll open up this little bag. So one of the features of this model, which is kind of unique, is the lighting. And so we're going to have a kit of lighting parts in here. That's what we should see. So this should be interesting. So let's just check these out one by one. So they look like little holders for the lighting. Again, they've got numbers on them and little warning labels on them. So I guess there are lots of small little parts in here. So these aren't really necessarily suitable for younger people. So let's take a look at one of these. This is one of the LED lights actually. Okay, so we can see we've got the different lights there. We've got the little fine wire. The fine wire is you train it through the bricks. So I've seen that in some of the pictures of this. And there's a very fine little connector there. Wow, that's a really small little header. That's smaller than anything you'd even get on an OO gauge model. So we'll just need to be careful with him. They're all really, I mean, I must say, the level of packaging is incredible. Everything is kind of broken out into its individual little bags. What we got in here, this one probably more the same. Okay, so we've got a slightly different LED configuration here. Let's take this guy out and take a look at him. So this is in number 2. Oh wow, okay, so there we go. So we've got our different LEDs mounted on there. We've got resistors in the back. You've got those fine little connectors on there. Okay, so obviously these are daisy chained together in some way. So we'll discover that as part of the assembly. So I'll just put this guy back in so I don't lose track of the different pieces. We've got some more wired parts there. We'll take a look at that already. And I will need to do a quick inventory of this just to make sure I've got everything I need. And again, some more wired parts. There's a lot of lighting, I guess, is what's interesting here. There's a lot of lighting to go into this model. And I guess this is where the kind of age group part of it comes out as well. I mean, this is not your typical Lego train, I suppose, and from a complexity perspective. So again, these really little fine connectors at the end. So they're obviously, it does look like they all get daisy chained together. And again, you've got small resistors with the LEDs. And again, that's a kind of quite an interesting plate, so I'm not sure where that goes. So we'll discover that later on. So we're up to number 4 here. So we've got more lights. And okay, we've got a USB socket. So that's actually how this thing is powered. And it uses USB power. And again, you've got a fine little connector there to hook that into, and obviously hook that into a standard USB socket. And we'll probably get an extender, so plenty of those available. And let's go and take another one here. Let's see what we've got. Okay, we've got a tweezers. Okay, so they're giving you some of the tools, and that should come in really handy, and a nice little tweezers, which I can probably use for other things as well. And the last little piece, I think this is a battery box, and that's what it looks like. And lo and behold, it is. So you've got you've got an option of a battery box if you want to use it. Got an on-off switch on here, which is great. And for some people, they may prefer to use the battery box than actually use. So I got to clip that out. I'll do that afterwards. So we'll try out both the battery box and the USB to see how well they work. I think generally with things like this, if you're going to use it as a kind of a display item, I think using the USB power is always going to be better, because you're going to get the best brightness on the LEDs and you're not going to be eating through batteries. Okay, so this is it. It's to be honest, it's quite a nicely presented kit. All the parts are broken out very nicely. There's a nice manual, and I guess my next piece is going to be actually working my way through this and putting the model together. So I will take some footage of that as I go through the process, and anything of note we'll talk about. So I think that's where we go from here. And once we get the model built, we'll do some normal close-up views of it and 360 views of that model with the lights on and with the lights off, and we'll see what it looks like. But I think I've got a few hours of construction ahead of me here, so we'll catch up with you after that. FunWhole make excellent use of the different brick types and colour combinations to create this steampunk themed model. They use plenty of metallic finishes to achieve the desired effect. The model is the same scale and gauge as any LEGO Trains model, but with what I would describe as a classier styling, and it is a much more complex model than the standard LEGO Train model. They don't go overboard on the steampunk theming, which should allow this model to have a more broader appeal, and personally I'm pleased they've taken this approach. Hardcore steampunk fans may be less so. While the model construction and appearance is on the upper end of any of its peers, it's the lighting aspect that really makes this model stand out and differentiate it from any other competing model of this type. You don't fully appreciate it when putting it together, but the lighting illuminates the entire model, front, back, sides, underbody, cargo and internal areas. It makes for a really impressive presentation piece, even in a modestly darkened room. It's nice to build something that provides a nice return like this when completed. Okay, let's take a look at the summary. So we've been looking at the FunWhole F9006 Steampunk Ore Train LED lighting building bricks set, which comes with 1056 pieces. This is a non-motorized static model. So just to differentiate from the typical LEGO Trains models which would be motorized. It is LEGO Trains compatible from a scale and a track gauge perspective. It does come with an extensive lighting kit, and this can be powered from either the included battery box or the included USB connector. It does come with a 2-year free warranty, and FunWhole will replace any missing pieces or any damaged pieces during that time. The constructed model weight is 874 grams, so it's a reasonably substantial model, I guess, and being made of 1,000 pieces, that's probably not surprising. Now, while the minimum age is set at 8, I do believe that a younger child who has successfully built models of a similar complexity could easily tackle this. But in general, I would recommend some adult oversight for younger builders to help ensure that the lighting aspect is implemented correctly and not damaged in any way. Of course, older builders would be attracted to this model, and even those with little experience of such sets should be able to navigate their way through the excellent instruction manual. The price for this model, I'm quoting two prices here. One is the Amazon UK price, which is currently $79.99. You can also purchase this from the FunWhole website, where it's currently showing as $86. Now, there's a lot of exchange rate variation going on right now, so these prices, I suppose, are likely to change and could be changing by the week over the next few weeks. So in terms of the scoring, I thought the appearance and detail for a model of this type was really good. My only real gripe was the wiring for the LED lighting, which could have done with some better cable management to keep it out of view. As I mentioned earlier, hardcore steampunk fans may have wished for a stronger steampunk look and would probably score it lower accordingly. The instructions were excellent, and my only minor gripe was a few areas where the construction of the same subcomponent could have been combined rather than being built based on the chronology of the overall build. It's a minor optimization, but overall the instructions were excellent. Including scale pictures for certain pieces was really useful to avoid using the wrong part. And I did have two minor missteps during the overall build, and both of them were down to myself not following the instructions more carefully. In terms of features, the LED lighting was the standout and a positive contributor to the appearance score. The transfers provided also contributed positively to the appearance. Providing USB power as well as battery power was a nice plus. It would have been good to include some track to mount the model on, as many builders, including myself, will not have any Lego track lying around. The last element I have to mention is motorization, and I guess if I purchased this model and had an existing Lego Trains layout, I would be disappointed not to be able to run this locomotive on that layout. Even as a display model, it would have been nice to be able to exercise the wheels, while the model may even be elevated just above the track. Overall, the quality and packaging was excellent. In general, the bricks were of good quality, with a good positive connection between the bricks. The only exception were some of the circular bricks, which appeared to be made by a different plastic, resulting in a slightly less positive connection. Still, this set has a high quality feel to it. In terms of the price value, this set is competitively priced versus Lego Trains models and other equivalently complex models, where LED lighting would typically be an add-on kit rather than built in. So my overall score is a 9.3 out of 10, and if you take the price value piece out of it, that actually goes to a 9.4. And I think that does represent this for the type of set it is. And this will also correlate to the sort of reviews you see on Amazon, for example. And now to my final recommendation. I have to admit that I took a little time to assess if this was a model I wanted to review when FunWhole first approached me. Having researched their other models, I was impressed with what I saw and eventually concluded that this would be a worthy model to review. The model is rated for ages 8 and above, and in broad terms I would agree with that. It strikes me as an excellent set for an adult or older sibling to work with a younger person to help put this together. Adult builders would also be interested, of course, and while not the most complex build in the world at just over 1,000 pieces, the added LED lighting really differentiates this piece from the competition and makes it more suited perhaps to older builders. FunWhole have clocked up some very positive feedback on their models to date, and this one is no different. If you're in the market for this type of model, either for yourself or for another family member, then I can highly recommend it. It provides a satisfying build experience combined with having a really nice display model when completed. Existing Lego fans may also look to enhance and expand the model, and this is one of the real benefits of this type of construction model. FunWhole have already produced a station to go with this model, and that's actually a more complex model in itself. After I put the model together, I couldn't help but think of what other railway themed models that FunWhole could consider for the future to take advantage of the lighting that they provide in their models. A Pullman coach, for example, might be one. I think they could even broaden the appeal of such models by basing them on some well-known flagship locomotives. So what are your thoughts on this model? If not for yourself, is this a model you might consider for somebody's birthday perhaps, or is something to appear under the Christmas tree? And what do you think FunWhole should consider for future railway models? I would welcome your thoughts in the comments. So thanks for joining today's review, which I hope you found of interest. Please like, share and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. In the meantime, take care and happy modelling.